This is my weekly newsletter from Skara, where I talk about the world's events seen from my perspective, which are as valid as anyone's. This is the first week when people have seriously been talking about the Third World War in the mainstream media, and it's a very worrying situation, and I think it's largely to do with people cottoning on to the danger of electing Hillary Clinton, who's in the pockets of the defense industry, and is part of this inside the Beltway ideology, which has gone basically mad. There's a very McCarthy atmosphere in Washington at the moment, where even the presidential candidate Donald Trump is accused of being a friend of Russia, just because he doesn't want to go to war with Russia in Syria, but has a healthy New York businessman's survival instinct against the realities of power. Whereas Hillary is either too weak or too strong. It's hard to tell. She's too weak in the sense that she's made too many promises to her sponsors, which includes Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the military industry, and Wall Street, to be able to get off the train, or she's too powerful in the sense that she doesn't know her own weaknesses. She's a greedy, ambitious, vain, aggressive woman who has never gives up. And now she gets to the top, she might find that Putin is a sort of intolerable representative of a power she can't dominate. Women are more dangerous than men, I think, especially at that level. They don't know how to compromise. And I think she is a very dangerous woman, and I think the reason why the Russians are attacking Aleppo now with the help of the Syrian government forces, where the jihadists are holed up, supported by the Americans and the Saudis, is that the Russians want to end this war before Hillary gets elected in January. So they've got a 3-month window. Most people who know about the truth about this war, and most people outside America, support the Russians. They don't support America. America's an unloved, hated, rogue state, which is in its death throes as an empire and could do anything. That's what's so dangerous. The Russians are attacking a city occupied by this ferociously totalitarian ISIS movement, which has been backed by the Saudis all along. And don't forget that the Clinton Foundation is backed by the Saudi and Qatari governments. So people don't give money to the Clinton Foundation out of charity, but because they hope that it's going to influence the leading figures of that foundation, Hillary and Bill Clinton. It's obvious. So this grotesque dictatorship, which wants to spread Sunni Islam across the Middle East and Europe through mass immigration, had a whip hand over Hillary Clinton. And Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State when the CIA shipped masses of arms from the war in Libya, which was a destruction of the country, which was Hillary's doing, to Syria. That was about 3 years ago. It's hard to say what's going to happen in the next week. We can just hope that the Russians win the war and win it quickly, so that there are no proxy local forces that could even give America the excuse to start a no-fly zone, which would bring it into Third World War. It's all about American power. The aid workers on the ground apparently say that what they want the war to be is over quickly, and that means the Russians and the Syrians winning it. But if the Americans continue to sponsor the jihadists inside the city, then the war will just go on, and there'll be problems for the civilians. So that's the truth. It's completely the opposite of what you're told in the mainstream media. And I think if we're witnessing the death throes of the American empire, we're also seeing the end of the media as any source credibility. And in a way, that's bad for our democracy, because with a huge number of alternative websites providing the news, that's inevitable and a gratifying response, because we can't get the truth from anywhere else. But it also means a breakup of the public conversation, which the old media, as the sole source of discussion, provided a single agora for the public discussion about world affairs. And now it's just completely vociferated into the conversation is conducted on websites which hardly anyone reads, and you lack this single public space where democratic discussion can be had. So it's a tragedy in the way that the mainstream media are letting themselves down so much. But they're so full of lies that they've expended all the public credibility. So I think the death of the traditional media is something we'll see. But anyway, I'll carry on reporting from my armchair this time next week.